Well then, we're here yet again, aren't we? On the night of the 26th of March 2026, Turkey hosted Romania in the first playoff match from Pat C for the qualification to the World Cup. What followed was a close match between the two countries where Turkey eventually nudged ahead with a goal from Ferdi and in the end booked a spot in the playoff final to take on Kosovo away for a spot in the World Cup. What I want to focus on though is the losing team I mentioned, Romania. Now, this team is interesting, especially since, just 2 summers ago, this country was shocking everyone on the European stage at the 2024 Euros, topping their group immediately by goal difference, and then taking their leave to the Netherlands in the round of 16, ultimately making their nation proud. I want to try and dive a little bit deeper into why this quote unquote collapse happened and the reason why this team failed while riding on one of the biggest waves of success in the last decade. Disclaimer though, and I have to mention this, since this is my first video of this kind, some information might be lost and my opinion could be factually incorrect. Anyway, enough about that. Without further ado, let's begin. I want to start all the way in the past, back in 2022, when Edward Jordanescu was appointed manager of the Romanian national team, which his father also coached. What followed was, well, what most call an underperformance, to say the least. The first match under Jordanescu was at home against Greece in a friendly, where Romania fell 1-0 to an Andreas Bovakalaski strike in the 39th minute. I have to apologize because I'm sure that I have butchered his name. Followed by a 2-2 draw against Israel. Later that same year, Romania took part in its Nation League campaign, where they only accumulated 2 wins and 1 draw, suffering 3 defeats amid a 3-0 thrashing at home by Montenegro. It is safe to say that the team's morale was down in the gutter and the fans were obviously not that happy. Either way, Ionescu kept his job leading the team as he looked to somehow make progress towards the overarching goal of the Euros. And well, the groups were announced. Romania was stationed in a 6-team group alongside Andorra, Kosovo, Belarus, and the so-called juggernauts of the group, the mighty Switzerland. The belief was that if Romania was to qualify, it was going to be by securing a second spot with the Swiss occupying top place. And so the qualification matches began. In the first 2 matches against Andorra and Belarus, Romania accumulated a maximum of 6 points with 2 wins. Against Kosovo and Switzerland, it got 1 point apiece with both matches shrouded in drama and controversy. Across September and October, the Tricolori continued their undefeated run with draws against Israel on home soil and Belarus away, and victories against Kosovo and Andorra. Upon seeing this incredible run of form, it, it was safe to say that everyone in Romania camps and the fans as well started to believe that a qualification was actually on the cards, with the top 2 spots earning a ticket to Germany that summer. Up next, the Tricolori faced off against Israel away, and the leader of the group Switzerland at home. The important match, however, was the first against Israel, as it would mathematically confirm the qualification, with the second match mostly being a contest for who could claim the top spot. And so, the night of the 18th of November marked the match that an entire nation gathered around the television with hope that after 8 years the country could get back on the European stage. The match started, and the first 50 minutes were an absolute chaos. Barely after a minute had played, Israel won a corner, and Eran Zahavi scored to make it 1-0. Already, Romania's depth started creeping back in, but after not more than 10 minutes played, Andrei Raciu made a run to the right side, cutting in the middle and letting a thunder strike that was deflected. But fear not, cause George Puskas followed the shot and slotted the ball home to make the game 1-0. It was all chaos. In the second half, chances flew at both ends, but ultimately in the 63rd minute, the son of the great Yanis Hagi, got the ball at the edge of the box, cut inside with the right foot, and slotted the ball in the bottom corner with his left, sending a rapture of happiness to the hearts of every Romanian out there. And so, after more than 25 minutes of defending, Romania was confirmed to take part in the 2024 Euros. Obviously, that night was a night to remember for all Romanians across the world, as the country was flooded in an all-out party. But the fun was not over yet, as for nearly 3 days later, Romania stunned the Swedes with a 1-0 win at home to claim the first spot of the qualification group. So yeah, let's revise for a little. Not only did this team qualify, but they did it by not losing a single game. So again, it is safe to say that the Tricolori were ecstatic, and so were their fans. I'll skip to the tournament. Euro 2024 kicked off for Romania with a game against Ukraine. It was the first time in almost a decade that they walked in onto the European stage, and they did not disappoint. In the 29th minute, Nicolae Stanciu's strike from outside the box opened the scoring. Then another out-of-the-box strike by Razvan Marin in the 53rd minute doubled the score. And the final dagger came 4 minutes later as Denis Dăgu slotted home from 4 yards out. I think. Regardless, this was a match for the decade for the Tricolori as they started the tournament stunningly. Unfortunately, they lost against Belgium in the following match, but since every other team in the group also lost a game, a favorable 1-1 draw against Slovakia secured the first spot yet again for Romania as they went ahead in the round of 16. Obviously, in every Cinderella story, the clock strikes midnight at some point, and the Tricolori get knocked out by a much stronger Dutch side by 3 goals to none. Regardless of the result, it was a summer to remember for all the Armenians fans and something to look forward to in the following qualification for the World Cup, which takes place in the Land of Freedom later this year. But not everything is sunshine and rainbows. So, after the tournament, Eduard Ionescu came into a press conference and announced that he's leaving his spot as manager. Why? Family matters. So, after an amazing summer with the Romanian national team, Ionescu decided, fuck it, I'm out, and did not renew his contract with the Romanian Football Federation to spend time with family. In his place came a legend of the nation's football, Mircea Lucescu, to continue the overarching goal of securing a spot in the World Cup. And so, Lucescu reigns starts with the Nations League campaign in League C, where, lo and behold, Romania topped the group this time undefeated and with a plus 15 goal difference. Yeah, they were still running high on the summer success. Then the group for the World Cup qualifiers gets announced, and Romania gets paired alongside San Marino, Cyprus, which they beat in the Nations League, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Austria. Hold on a minute. This scenario has been played before. This group is almost the same as the Euro qualifiers won back in 2023. And also Romania had a safety net since they topped their Nations League group, which gives a team another playoff spot. Surely they look to at least finish second since the group seemed reasonable. They lost 1-0 to Bosnia. It happened again. During the qualifiers, Romania only managed 4 wins, stunning Austria at home, 1 draw, and 3 defeats. 2 against Bosnia and 1 against Austria, to have them finish third in the qualifying group with 4 points behind second place Bosnia and 6 points behind top. This represented the fact that they would be playing against Turkey in a qualification match where, as we all know, they lost 1-0. So this team went from back-to-back first place finishes to crashing out from the chance of qualifying to the greatest stage yet again. How and why did this happen? Now, here is where I'll start making assumptions as to why this downfall, quote-unquote, occurred. Again, this is my own opinion from what I saw and what I think happened. Feel free to disagree with me in the comments. First things first, personally, I think that since Ionescu's departure from the helm, the team lost its mentality and chemistry with themselves and the coach. While yes, Lucescu is a respected figure, you cannot deny the fact that the chemistry and nature of the dressing room was different under Iordănescu than under Sir Mircea. It's also a fact of formation change. I do agree that players should try to adapt to every position they might be played in. Each one has a preferred position where they perform at the best. Between Iordănescu and Lucescu, the first mostly played a 4-1-4-1 formation during the Euros, while Sir Mircea played mostly a 4-3-3. Obviously, I will not take anything out of Lucescu's Nations League campaign, since the team were not defeated, so the formation worked. Credit to that. But even when the team didn't work under that formation, losses to Bosnia and Austria, Sir Mircea refused to try and change. Well, maybe except the 2-1 loss against Austria, where he went to a 4-2-3-1, and against Turkey when he chose a 4-2-3-1 again. But I digress. What I'm trying to get at is that yes, under Iordănescu's 4-1-4-1 system, Romania didn't win every game. They looked more consistent when finishing off stronger-ish opponents, Switzerland and Ukraine and others. Now again, Lucescu's Nations League campaign was perfect, but you cannot argue that the opponents there were less than, for the lack of a better word, competitive. Meanwhile, in the qualifiers for the World Cup, almost every team fought to try to push against their level. The last reason I want to give is the call-up situation. And for this, I will compare two matches: the 2-2 draw against Switzerland and the loss against Turkey. In the first match, the Tricolori were lined up in a 3-4-3, different from Iordănescu's usual 4-1-4-1 style. Now, for the names on the team sheet: Horatiu Moldovan as the goalkeeper, Ionuț Nedelceau, Radu Drăgușin, and Andrei Burcă in the back three, Cristian Mane, Vladimir Screciu, Nicolae Stanciu, the captain, and Dejan Sorescu in the midfield. Up top, you had Yanis Hagi, Denis Alibek, and Florinel Coman. The team was set up in a way that I personally believed focused on trying to keep Switzerland at bay, which obviously failed, being 2-0 down at the break. But what did change the game was in terms of the substitutes, primarily Olimpiu Moroțan and Valentin Mihailă, who both linked up beautifully to level the score in the dying moments. Alright, now let's move on to the second match against the Turks. For this fixture, Mircea Lucescu used a 4-2-3-1. The first big change was the fact that there were 4 defenders, with Andrei Raciu and Nicu Șorbancu acting as wingbacks. Two names that were not in the squad for the Switzerland game, but alas, player injuries do tend to happen. As for the names in the team for this match, we had Ionuț Radu as goalkeeper, back 4, as we mentioned, of Andrei Raciu, Radu Drăgușin, Andrei Burcă, and Nicu Șorbancu. As the midfield, we had Răzvan Main and Vlad Dragomir as defensive midfielders, and Denis Man, Yanis Hagi, captain this time, and Valentin Mihailă as offside midfield.
You stupid!
Offside. Offensive midfielders. Yikes. And as number 9, we had Daniel Brlija. As you can probably see, there were changes from the match with Switzerland, but that is not an entirely bad thing. Obviously, players come and go with time, but some key players were left out, such as Nicolae Stanciu, the usual captain, who was left on the bench. And later came on, hit the post from the edge of the box, and that was that. What I'm trying to get to here is the fact that some key players had been left out that I believe that could have helped more, and did in fact help in the past. There is also the fact of the immense pressure that players obviously felt. You may argue that this is the price of playing at a top level, but at the end of the day, joking under pressure is still a part of the game. And this is where the path to the World Cup ended for Romania yet again. Regardless of what happened, and even if the real reason behind yet another failure is still clouded in mystery, the Tricolori still have a match against Slovakia on the 31st of March. This has been my opinion. You are obviously free to agree or disagree, even make your own opinion, which I gladly to take a look at in the comments, if you indeed decide to share it. Thank you for listening to my yapping, though it wasn't and it hasn't been of the highest quality. Tell me what you'd like to see in the future. Stay safe out there, and goodbye.